Well, first I'm very happy to be with you here tonight, the meet, and to meet the people who support the journey that I'm pleased tonight to tell you about, take you through the journey that I've been going throughout the past few years. A journey that I wouldn't be able to take without the support of you. And I, here out of just curiosity, I'm wondering if any one of you have been to Syria before or to the region? No. 2 out of maybe 20. And that is amazing how still in our time when we see a lot of atrocities here and there, we still see a lot of people who are willing to dedicate their time, efforts, and resources to support places and people that they never been to before in their life, and they are investing in supporting people that they never met before. My name is Elias Sadkni. I'm from Aleppo, a very, very beautiful town in the north of Syria. You haven't had a chance before to be there, but it is very famous with its old town, with old citadel, with its amazing of Aleppo, with the generosity of people, and with the souks, the old souks, old markets, still preserved as it was like hundreds of years ago. And here I'm talking before the war, when these markets were still lively and functioning, not only for touristic purposes, but for the same purposes that it was used for hundreds of years ago. So whenever you are there, you can sense that you are just taken back in time and place. And that was something very, very unique to Aleppo. We still have all of that. These times we have a long way to walk, to go back there. Why I'm here today? I'm here to share with you the story, and to thank you, of course, for your support. I'm a pharmacist. I graduated in 2007 and worked for several years in pharmacy. But then, after the revolution and the uprising of my people and the war that started later, in the group, the friend, to provide any kind of support to our people. And by that time, we didn't know what we can do, because we didn't see ourselves like politically active, but we wanted to do something. So we formed what we call the family. We didn't know what to do, but we felt that we wanted to be together under what we call the family. And then, when people started fleeing homes in other big cities in Syria, and started arriving to Aleppo because of fear of shelling and persecution, we found ourselves there, hosting them, providing all the support they need. And from a very small initiative run by few people, we became a huge project when we partnered with the Jesuit Refugee Service. Because I was a Jesuit scouts since I was a kid, so I know Jesuit fathers. They were there by that time working with Iraqi refugees in Aleppo. So we partnered and we managed to go with our project to a higher level of proficiency and capacity. The people that we started working together, the family, we came from very different. Before that, I knew only two of them. One of them was my cousin. But the others I just met when we come together because there was something common between us that we wanted to do something. These people come from very different backgrounds, religiously, socially, economically, ethnically. We were Arab, Kurds, Armenian, Christians, Muslims, everything. Same goal for the same purpose. That is helping our community, our people, our country. That's something, and especially now. The Syrian Refugee manager in Aleppo once told me that what you have done will be written in the history of the crisis as a sample of hope that represents the future we love, the future that we hope for Syria, where everyone is working together. When we started working with the JRS, the Jesuit Refugee Service, the needs were enormous because by that time, violence escalated and we reached Aleppo. We found ourselves managing 11 shelters, running a field kitchen that produces each day 18,000 hot meals, managing a clinic that provides health support to around 150 patients a day, running a distribution center for food and non-food items, running a center for psychosocial support to work with kids, with women, with men, but unfortunately that center was closed because of some security threats. In 2013, and although I felt that what we were doing is though it wasn't my specialty, I didn't study that pharmacist. I felt that okay, if we want to think about the future of Syria and believe in it and have faith and hope in that, we need to think further than just providing the primary aid. Though it is very needed and still highly needed, we'll come to that later. And that's how I started thinking of taking my master's in a new field that is peace building, conflict resolution. That's what I did when I went to the UK and did my master's. And when I finished in 2014, I went back to Aleppo to work again with the Jesuit Refugee Service, at the same time preparing the establishment of House of Peace. Many people who saw me coming back to Syria after being in the UK, they just called me crazy. People are just fleeing Syria, and to get to the UK with the highly difficult visa system. So for them, like coming back to Syria, either crazy or have something in my mind that is so special. So for me, I didn't argued that, yeah, I might be crazy. It's okay sometimes to be crazy, and because to work for peace in the middle of an open conflict needs sometimes crazy people to believe in that and take like the first step to do something. Now, I'm not claiming I'm the alone. And many courageous people are still working in Syria and for Syria from neighboring countries. When I left Syria, many of our first group family were scattered everywhere in neighboring countries. And for me, when I went back, my dream was to bring these people once again together. So I thought, what family needs to be together? Need a house. So that was the first idea. Okay, so we need a house of peace. And also, when I was writing my dissertation, I was thinking about what are the practical approaches where civil society can participate in this building. And I dedicated that dissertation to Father Franz van der Laar. It's a Jesuit father who spent his life in Syria, maybe more than 50 years of his life spent in Syria, working for Syrians. And he was spreading the word of love and living it. Because he decided and he chose to stay with people in the city of Homs. And he was killed there because he refused to leave. He was shot twice, and he chose to leave the he was spreading. People trust. That's why I call the project House of Peace. What we do is we actually work with local NGOs and with local communities, refugees and host communities, because now we are functioning in it. And what we try to do is to support the participants to be more engaged within their communities. To be more active within the new realities that they are facing, so they can feel belonging. They can create spaces where they can meet, where they can walk together, where they can talk and share. We hold the workshops for them to help them develop a new understanding of their situation. To find opportunities to develop social initiatives that would bring people together. For example, we were working in a Palestinian camp in Beirut called Shatila camp, and it is crowded with Palestinians even before the arrival of Syrians, and now they are hosting like more Syrians than Palestinians that are already there. So many tensions rising between Palestinians and Syrians. And before we conduct when we started the workshop, the women we were working with, and they were all Syrians, they were expressing frustration of how some Palestinians were treating them. And after we finished, like in 3 days, they developed initiatives towards Palestinians to show gratitude and appreciation for hosting them. They suggested that they want to distribute some educational materials to Palestinian kids in schools in order to reach out for their families and to be able to work later on with their mothers, especially. So this kind of initiative that we believe it won't end the war, but at least it will relieve some of the daily tensions people live in their new communities where they are living now. One time we were organizing an activity with a local NGO called Women Now. And by the way, more than 70% of the participants are women. It wasn't intentional at all, but that's what's happening. Each time we go for a workshop, I'm the only guy showing up. So one time we were holding this workshop with a group of women in Akbar Valley in Lebanon. And they came from very different backgrounds as well, and some of them were really religiously conservative. So one of them was a Sharia teacher. And they heard me mumbling the song, so they asked me if we can sing, or they asked me to sing for them. So in the break, we started singing, and then they started singing alone. And that for me was something that really positively surprising and astonishing. If someone will judge these people from the outside, from their outfit, or from what they think they are, would think that okay, they are very conservative, they are all Muslims, they don't interact with other men, they don't know. But that wasn't the reality. It took us just one day to start singing together in the same place. In the same workshop, one lady came to me saying that before being displaced, she never dared to talk to a strange man, and now she's participating in workshops and sharing her ideas and presenting the analysis outcomes to other people participating as well in the workshop. So despite all the suffering and despite all the misery that is there, many people are trying to get the best out of this experience, this bad experience, to build more their capacities, to prepare themselves for the future. And that's what they always share with us, that, okay, now we are living in the camp, or we are living somewhere in a new community. We are very happy that many NGOs are providing us some technical trainings, some literacy training, some capacity building in livelihood. So we are investing this time, we are spending here to learn more, to develop our capacities, and to be able to teach and educate our kids. So when we go back to Syria, we will participate in rebuilding our country and our communities. And that is something that we always hear. People, they don't want to talk about being accepted. That's not always the case. People are not dying to be resettled somewhere else in the world. Many of them have the choice and have the right to look for another place to start a new life. But at the same time, many people are still holding to get back to their homes, to rebuild their destroyed homes. And I met many people that have a chance to be resettled through the UN to somewhere in Europe or Australia or even Canada, and they said no, we want to stay in Lebanon because it's closer to Syria, so we will go back one day. have hope for Syria, for the future of Syria, in the midst of this conflict? I think yes, we should. From my experience working with Syrians, I had the chance to how to give and to sacrifice and to few days ago, or 10 days ago, there was an announcement of the cessation of hostilities. And one of the nice things that I hear from my friends' states is that they feel now in Aleppo, for instance, that they are in heaven. They have electricity, they have water, they can hear birds singing again after many years. For them, this is heaven. And for people who are still holding to stay in their places, all they need to survive is this calmness, is the ceasefire. So they can think in their future. We need to believe in the peace processes, regardless of how politicians and military are serious about it, and how the international community in general is serious about it. But we have to have hope in these political processes. Otherwise, if we the peace builders, we will be like an obstacle for these processes. What we have left for the bad guys. And this is something that we've been sharing and highlighting with people we've been meeting throughout the past few days, that it is very, very important during this period when the political processes and negotiations are taking place, is to highlight and raise the voice of the Syrian civil society. We don't want the future of Syria to be drawn by military and politicians and warlords. As civil society that is existing on the ground and providing the primary aid, we need to be heard when the future of our country is being written. At the same time, humanitarian assistance is still highly needed in many areas. And to emphasize the importance of providing protection to civilians is still something very crucial. Of course, you heard months ago about the NSF hospital, Médecins Sans Frontières hospital, that was bombed by Russian airstrikes in southern Aleppo. We should not be quiet in front of these atrocities. We need to raise the voice, to emphasize the importance of protecting civilians and civil facilities. At the same time, to think about long-term development projects for Syria and neighboring countries is also very important, because because, as David said, the tiny country like Lebanon is hosting more than a quarter of its population refugees. So we need to think for the future to help the people who are holding to stay and to go back to Syria, to help them with long-term projects that would generate jobs for them and for the host communities. Just 2 words at the end. Since I was working with the GRS, and later on when I established House of Peace, I was very, very lucky to have people who trusted me, trusted in our objectives. We have first the Jesuits who provided us with all the need all the support we needed. And then we were lucky, I was lucky as well, to have partners like Development Peace who trusted in the project even before it was there. And they stepped in to fund it. And that's also because of people like you who were there to support them, to support us, and to support Syrians. And I hope that next year I'll come to you to tell you, thank you very much. The conflict is over, and we still need to work together for rebuilding Syria and its society. So we have, but hopefully it will be in peace, not in wartime. Thank you very much. I'm very glad to answer any question. Any questions for David?
Is the mic here? If you want to come to the mic, please.
I was just wondering, how do you figure out the NGOs working together? Is it a positive thing? How do you get them together? Are they competing for their small amount of money? Right. What brings them together?
Well, to a large extent, we rely on personal. Many of the people who were like me, they had their own life, and then they found themselves in the middle of the conflict. They established NGOs and they started working for other NGOs. So we are kind of already existing network of people working on the ground. And we rely to a large extent on that. And then through the people we know, we go further to their larger circle. It's not that perfect. Many conflicts arise during this kind of war. Sometimes because of the lack of coordination, sometimes because of competition. But it's not always the case. But to be honest with you, many times the competition issue is caused by donors' procedures. Instead of opening calls for proposals for joint programs where NGOs can develop joint activities, they go for competition-based kind of fundraising. So, as you said, some NGOs feel that they are competing over the same resources. But it's not always the case, and many NGOs now form the kind of coalitions to work together and share experiences.
Thank you very much for your inspiring talk. In December of 2014, we had another visitor from Syria, sponsored by the Development Peace. His name was Father Elias Sadkni. Could you tell me, I was so amazed and inspired by him. Can you tell me what's happening in his life right now?
But Nauras is a very, very good friend of mine. I was honored to work with him. I knew him as well since I was in the Scout. And now he's the director of Jesuit Refugee Service, the country director working in Syria. He's still in Damascus. Last month he went to Aleppo, it was besieged, and then went back to Damascus, and he's doing great.
That's good to hear, because I've been worried about his safety ever since. The other thing that you mentioned during your talk was Father Vanderland and his impact on the folks. We see apparently people left homes when he was still there. They didn't know what they were going to do without him. That's before he died. So could you tell me about the impact of his death on the people in homes?
Unfortunately, the death of Father Franz just happened one day or 2 days before the relief of the besiegement of the city of Homs. So those who were relying on him to survive during the besiegement, they stayed there, and they just also Damascus Homs in Aleppo and but all government controlled areas, programs. But in regard to Daesh area, the ISIS areas, there are some NGOs working there. Some of them are working in extremely dangerous situation. They are even working undercover in some areas to provide like house education for kids who are not allowed to go to they gain the trust of the people, and they are ignoring Daesh, and apparently Daesh is ignoring them because they are providing the support that is needed in that area. But it's not easy at all to work there. Many of my friends who used to work with us cannot now access Daesh areas because their names are listed. Though the majority are Muslims and are Sunni, but simply because they were active and they were supporting people, they were listed Daesh. One of them is a girl called Samar. Samar is a very good friend of us, and she used to be shelter coordinator for GLS in Aleppo. And she is from a small town in Aleppo suburb. And she was one of the first people who raised against the Syrian regime. And she refused the first scholarship she got to Spain to continue her study in archaeology. And then the second time she had another scholarship to do a PhD in Egypt, and we forced her to leave because we needed her specialty for future time. But then she came back once for a visit for Aleppo, a village in Syria. And she's Sunni, but she doesn't put faith. And by that time, Daesh was controlling her village. And they tried to force her to put faith, though the area is pretty much like conservative. But she refused, and she told them that I'm Syrian. Who are you to force me to do something? And they kidnapped her with her boyfriend, Muhammad, who used as well to work with us in this strange shelter where someone was running. It has been 2 years and 7 months since they were kidnapped. And we don't know if they are still alive.
Yes, thank you very much. It was not only informative, but you really had a good feeling of the home that you're talking about. And just based on that hope, you probably followed the news today about Putin is going to withdraw troops and firepower out of Syria. And I was just wondering if you just give us some reaction to that.
Well, first, I'm not a political analyst, but I would say that any withdrawal of any military action of involvement in Syria is very welcome, because that means less casualties, less death, and less loss of lives. I was super happy when I read it, and hopefully that will push for more rapid peace agreement.
Questions?
Thank you very much.
I just want to add one thing as a wrap up. You know, when Development and Peace runs the campaigns that we do often in the fall or at certain times of the year, they're certainly not campaigns that we at the office with our staff come up with. They're really built off of what our partners in the field are telling us is needed. And Joanne mentioned at the beginning that we have a campaign that we're launching now that is in line with the 5th anniversary of this conflict. And you know, I think you heard Elias talk about the social cohesion that's required in the countries that are receiving all of these refugees. You heard him talk, I believe, also about the need to ensure the security of humanitarian workers who are trying to get into some of these areas that are shut off. And you heard him talk, of course, about the need to include civil society actors in moving us towards peace. And that is our campaign at the moment. We were in Ottawa last week meeting with MPs and media, and we're producing the material out of our office. Those are the 3 demands that we're asking for in terms of greater action from our government. And just a little anecdote on that, in October I was invited to a conference in Rome about the responsibility to protect. It was a norm that came out of the Second World War. countries have a responsibility to protect their citizens, and when countries are no longer able to, the United Nations and other countries have a responsibility to come to the aid of that nation. And if the nation doesn't respond to that, then we have a collective responsibility to protect people. And it was a big conference with Undersecretary Generals of the United Nations and former heads of the International Court of Justice, etc. And they had asked me in typical fashion to conclude at the end of the conference 5 minutes. From the person, like a little bird. And what was interesting is that before the end before I even had a chance to get up and speak, throughout the conference, they more or less concluded themselves that there are more displaced people today than there were at the end of the Second World War, and there's something that's not working properly when it comes to all of these international coalitions, bilateral, multilateral government efforts. It's not functioning. And all really include, I think it just reinforced that message. So we're asking that efforts, our government really try to include in their efforts civil society organizations to create groups of women. For example, it's been proven time and time again that when women are involved in reconciliation and peace building, there's an 80% higher success rate. So we need to create those forums and those areas for people to be able to dialogue. We need to put a lot of pressure on international governments to ensure that there are channels for people to get into these besieged areas. To make sure that the citizens of those countries are also being looked after, and that the relationships are being built, because they won't be going home tomorrow, that's for sure. And, it's important. So I just wanted to mention that because it really is the message from people like Elias and other partners that we try to get out through the work of our members and our campaigns here in Canada. So thank you.
If you have joined us tonight, thank you very much. To learn more about the crisis in Syria and giving hope through solidarity, please send me a message through this YouTube link. Thank you. Peace.